Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk. Bin noch immer in Vancouver. Heute habe ich eine neue Firma Saga bei mir. Saga klingt einmal schon mal gut. Das ist ein Ansager, mal gleich. Und der CEO ist auch Mike Stier, Bull. Also was kann da jetzt noch schief gehen sozusagen bei der Aktie? Ich muss aber vorsichtig sein, der Mike versteht nämlich auch teilweise Deutsch, also nicht jeder Joke ist jetzt erlaubt. Mike, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I said this for me is a brand new story, also for my subscriber. But maybe you can give us a rough or small or elevator pitch of the company. What is
Sure.
was the case you set up the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So Saga Metals is a diversified critical mineral company focused on lithium, uranium, titanium, vanadium, and iron ore. We have properties in Quebec as well as Labrador here in Canada. Very favorable jurisdiction. You know, our internal mandate is to try and find these early stage projects near infrastructure, prove them out, move them through the exploration stages. And we feel that it's best to have this diversified portfolio to give shareholders access to different minerals in different sectors and industries. That way they're not chasing one particular item. And if we can, hone in and prove this development model, we can be successful in multiple different industries and create shareholder value across multiple sectors.
When we come first to lithium, you have a very big partner here.
Correct, yeah.
So maybe you can give us a little bit more insight about this project.
Absolutely. So we've got about 65,000 hectares in James Bay on the eastern portion, just downstrike from Winsome's Adina project and Rio Tinto's Galani project, as well as Loyal Lithium. And so half of our property, a little over half, 34,000 hectares, we recently optioned back in June of 2024, our legacy lithium property to Rio Tinto. And so they have the ability to earn up to 75% of that project for putting in about $44 million into the project. They also have to, pay us some, annual payments for being the operator, but it's an amazing feat in terms of being able to garner that partnership as a private company. When we did it, we only just recently went public in September of 2024. I think it adds a lot of credibility and management's ability to execute a deal of that magnitude with a company of that size, especially being a smaller, private company. And so, again, in terms of value creation, that's what we're trying to do here with Saga, and we feel that this partnership can lead to some really good things.
Yeah. Rio Tinto is a very big company, so it's very unusual that they do so early deals.
Yeah.
So it shows that you must have something.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I would say that Rio Tinto was a little bit late coming into the lithium space, but they are trying to make a pretty big foray into the industry, and so they're trying to do it by making strategic acquisitions as well as pick up ground that they feel to be highly prospective despite being in the early stage. And so, yes, our Chief Geological Officer, Michael Garrigan, did a great job in sourcing this project. We picked up a few small parcels from some local prospectors, and then we staked about 30,000 additional hectares on our own. It covers the striking Paradise, which is highly prospective for lithium. We've got well over 100 documented pegmatites on the property, and now we just got to find out and see what's there. And Rio Tinto's going to be back on our ground here in 2025, doing some further exploration programs.
So that's mean from this project alone, we should get, when they must invest $44 million, a lot of news flows.
Correct, yeah. I mean, we'll have some news coming out here just to kind of summarize what they did back in 2024. Because we executed the agreement with them a little bit later into the year, they weren't able to get out until a little bit later in the field season. But, they've already got budgets approved for this year, and we're going to get out and finish the magnetic survey, the geophysical survey over the property, as well as a fairly robust prospecting, mapping, and sampling program across the 34,000 hectares. As you can imagine, that takes a bit of time to do.
But you are the operator, or they are the operator?
They're the operator, yeah. Sorry, when I think I said we, but yeah, I mean they're the operator, yeah.
It's mean that you together have this project now.
Correct, yes. We're in this together for sure.
So, okay, this is the first project, really great one. What is the next exciting project for you?
Yeah, so our whole philosophy here with this was that obviously, and again, being diversified critical mineral company, it gives us the ability to pivot and create these strategic partnerships when it makes sense to do so. And so with lithium, kind of coming down and sort of hitting its low, it made sense for us to partner with someone like Rio Tinto to try to advance that project while allowing us the ability to focus on some of our other projects. And so the one that we're keen on and focusing on the most is our uranium property in Labrador. And so on that property, it's called the Double Mare Uranium Project. We have about just over 25,000 hectares. And across that, along the southern portion of our claims, we have an 18-kilometer verified trend with uranium count radiometrics and surface sampling across the entire area. We've actually bookend the 18 kilometers with two zones, our Luvik zone, as well as our Kachik zone, and then we've got our big 4-kilometer Nanook zone in the middle. And so we're actually, again, Michael Garrigan, our Chief Geological Officer, he actually just arrived in Labrador the other day. He's prepping with the teams to get going on two drill programs, one being our Titan Vanadiumprojekt, which I can speak on in a minute here. But after that, and in conjunction with that, a small team's going to go out to our uranium project, fix up our camp, and get that prepped and ready for when the radar project drill program's over. We can head right into the field and start our drilling on the uranium property.
Uranium, we know, is in Canada really well known, but it's more well known at the Athabasca Basin.
Correct, yes.
So Labrador is more new to the area. So is there any other success in the area so far by uranium, so that we really can say, okay, here is maybe a new area or a new zone or a new province or area where really the uranium is, or new uranium hotspot?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's no surprise to anyone that the Athabasca Basin really in Saskatchewan is kind of an anomaly on the planet. There's not really anywhere else that you're going to find grades up to 20 and 30%. But you don't need those grades to be successful in the uranium space. And the supply crunch that's forthcoming is going to be prevalent for that in terms of finding these ore bodies in other areas. And so to answer your question, yes, there are other companies actually that are north of us that are already established that there is uranium in the space. And actually back in 2006, Labrador had a major uranium rush, and it saw tens of millions of dollars in exploration, and they found multiple deposits all over the area. The difference there, though, is that it's large tonnage, low grade. Okay, so even 0.02% uranium oxide can be economic at tens of millions of pounds. Whereas, say in Athabasca, you can have a company that only has 60,000 pounds, but it's at 30% grade. That's a massive difference in terms of the level of tonnage. And so, for us, even drilling our 18 kilometers, we're going to start with the Luvik zone, but we don't need to try to strategize and high grade our drill program. We can actually just go out and drill the whole area strategically placed across it so that we can get an understanding of what level of tonnage we could be dealing with on this property. Because as I said, even the lower levels, 0.02, 0.05, 0.1% uranium oxide is highly economic when you start reaching 50, 100 million pounds. And so there's a company that you may be familiar with, Paladin Energy. They have their Michelin project just north of us. It's about 30 kilometers away from our project. They've got about 128 million pounds just in their one section of their project, about 3-kilometer strike. And so as you can imagine, we've got 18 kilometers. They're obviously someone that we look up to and, want to become someone like Paladin one day. And, they're looking to make a big acquisition right now with Fission Uranium in Saskatchewan. And I think we're going to see more and more of that M&A into 2025 and into the future, really.
But on the other side, high-grade uranium brings also other issues. it's not so easy then to mine, where 0 point something is much easier to mine, then it's not so radioactive.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day too, I think what's critical for us is that, our recent news release that we just put out is that we did some early petrographic metallurgical work on our project. Again, our whole mandate here is to advance these projects and prove that they can be economic at one point. And so taking that early step and engaging Dr. Al Miller and his expertise was something critical that we thought would add value to the company and its shareholders. And we've been able to confirm the presence of uraninite, a very key uranium mineral within our pegmatites. And not only is it just in one, but it's essentially in all of them. And this study has actually proven that all the pegmatites on our property are genetically linked. They may be formed in different phases, but they do have that genetic linkage. And so for us, it's very exciting that we have an 18-kilometer trend to explore here. And given our current valuation, I think we've got a lot of room to grow.
So when I understand you right, you are not in interest to bring this anytime to production. It's only to bring it to a certain level that you show here's potential, here's economical size, and then you're looking for a partner to take it over and bring it then into production.
Yeah, I mean, I think learning from some of the seasoned experts in this industry, you never want to just sit on a project and pretend like someone's going to come knocking on your door to buy it. And so our mandate will always be to keep developing, keep pushing the project forward, keep ticking the boxes to de-risk these projects. But correct, we're not necessarily at this point in the business of bringing a mine online and what it takes to do that. I think our expertise, we know really well, is finding these grassroots projects that actually have the potential to find what it is that we're looking for.
Yeah, it's normal in this industry that you need a different people to bring something into production.
Yeah.
You need different people to find something.
Yeah.
I
well,
think this is very important to understand.
Absolutely, and all these companies already exist. They already have the infrastructure, the personnel. Why do we need to reinvent the wheel? A lot of these companies actually look for smaller companies like us, almost like an extension or an arm of their operation to find these types of projects and develop them. So we just happen to be doing it on our own and not tied to a major company. But again, I think that's where value creation comes in.
So brings us to titanium.
Correct. So our project is called the Radar Project. It's a titanium vanadium project, or another way to describe the potential ore body is vanadium titanomagnetite. And so the mineral that we're going after right now in this project is the magnetite. And from what we can tell on the property, it's littered throughout the entire area. Like, we've got 3 potential parallel zones. We're going after about a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer zone on a 17,000 hectare piece of property right now for our initial drill program. And I think that just kind of highlights the significance of what we're finding on our property. We did a recent geophysics and we did a magnetic inversion, which shows you sort of the high-grade material and low-grade at surface all the way down to upwards of 600 meters and potentially beyond. And so we're getting up, about 300 meter width, even at almost 600 meters down. And at 200 meters below the surface, we're getting signs of magnetic anomaly at about a kilometer wide. And so again, when you're looking at an ore body and what that could be, we're highly anticipating some good results here coming out of our initial drill program that we're going to do. And so, yes, it's a secondary project for us, but I think what people need to understand is that this project is about 10 kilometers south of Cartwright in Labrador. We have road access right into this highest mineralized zone that we're going to drill. And so for the drilling contractors that come up from Newfoundland up into Labrador, they're going to pass our Radar project anyways. The cost savings, it's much more efficient for us to do both these programs back to back than to have them come back and do it later. In 2 short seasons, about a combined maybe 24 days on the property, we've been able to move the Radar project from relatively unknown to drill ready in that period of time. And that's due to the fact that we are seeing magnetite all over our property. And so the importance, again, in terms of value creation, we want to be able to get out there and get these drill results sooner than later so that we can continue to move these projects forward. And one thing you might be asking yourself is, how valuable is titanium vanadium? And I think the best thing I can do to describe that is there's a company called Strategic Resources. They've got their Black Rock project. It's several kilometers away from us in Quebec. However, it's within the same geological province, the Grenville province. And so very similar geological settings. They're on what's called the Grenville Front. So they're in a bit of a shear zone. It's a bit deformed. Whereas Michael Garrigan believes that we're in a completely undeformed structure, which is very unique. And I can explain a little bit maybe about how titanium vanadium or this vanadium titanomagnetite is formed. But at the end of the day, in their southwest pit, it's about 2.5 kilometers by 110 meters wide. They've got 128 million tons of magnetite ore, and they've got a projected 39-year mine life and a net present value just under $2 billion. And so at the end of the day, for us, yes, it's a secondary project. Yes, we're going after uranium in a big way, but it's kind of undeniable that if we do prove out this resource on our property, that's going to add value. And we're extremely, perspective in terms of what's going to come out of this. I don't want to be too overly. I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm, obviously, because we got to get out and we got to put the drills in the ground. But with what we're seeing, you can't really argue magnetics, right? Like I think, as maybe not so much now, but as young kids, you always play with magnets and things like that. And at the end of the day, if you put something on and the magnet sticks, it sticks and it's holding there. And so the unique thing that you do with this is that when you chip some rock off and you pick it up, you take what's called a magnet pen in the field and you hold up your rock and you stick your pen to it. If it free dangles off that rock, it's highly magnetic. And so I was out there back in September of this past year, and even myself, I was banging rocks off, off the sides I would do the exact same thing. I'd pick it up and I'd put my magnet pen on it and it would hold there. So just extremely exciting, and I think that we've got a lot of potential value coming up here and a lot of good results and a lot of catalysts for 2025.
Mm-hmm. So then you have a fourth project, is an iron ore project, but how fits iron ore to critical metals?
Yeah, so actually iron ore, high purity iron ore, was added to Canada's critical mineral list in 2024. And so we kind of knew that this was forthcoming. So in January of last year, we picked up this project. There's companies called LabMag and Abex Technologies it's kind of in the Labrador Trough near Schefferville. Schefferville is a town that's on the Quebec side, so this is still on the Labrador side, but there's a very clear and defined trend that runs down there of high purity iron ore projects. And so there was a piece that came up that had about 8 drill holes from New Millennium's 2013 resource estimate. And so we picked up that project. It was grading around averaging about 20 to 24% from those drill holes. And so we thought, okay, we'll see what we can uncover here. And so again, for a secondary project, our claims maintenance cost is very low. We only had to spend $50,000 last year just to maintain the claims and kind of push it forward. So we sent about 2 to 3 people up there towards the tail end of our field season last year. And lo and behold, they actually came out with surface samples that graded as high as 85% iron oxide. Like, we're now starting to get into the high purity discussion when you start to breach 30-40% iron oxide. And so very exciting, very encouraging, not something we necessarily expected to happen. And it's actually trending to the southeast, and so there's actually a potential that continues down and we can have an extension to what we already know from the previous drill holes. So again, just finding these projects with either some historical data or grassroots in some nature, near known infrastructure, and trying to push them forward through the development stage.
So, but what's always important is by exploration companies the shareholder structure. So how the shareholder structure looks like, which people or which groups are have the highest percentage, are the biggest group?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day right now, the way that we're structured, it's done very well. You know, again, we have not gone out and just picked up pieces of land based on hot trends in specific areas where, you know, prospectors or promoters are trying to sell properties. We've done our own internal due diligence to find these projects, and we've kept our cost of acquisition very, very low. So we've been able to keep our capitalization structure very, very tight. And so even right now, with about $6 million raised in total, we're only sitting at 32 million shares outstanding. And so, you know, we've got a long way to go before that becomes any type of an issue in terms of managing your float. And so I think, again, this is an opportunity for, you know, incoming investors or people that are looking at us to say that our value currently is undervalued based on the potential of what the projects that we have and where this could potentially go. And, you know, we're mainly retail-based shareholders right now. There isn't any one group or organization that owns a massive chunk of us. And I actually think that in this stage of our development is a crucial and critical piece, because as an incoming investor, you don't need to be worried about one individual trying to sell, you know, a large block and hamper your position or your ability to see value. You know, it's very well spread out against, you know, initially friends and family of the founders of the company. And obviously there was an initial founders round, but again, it's all good hands. It's people that want to see us succeed, you know, the company succeed, and move these projects through development.
Okay, what is the market cap? Do you know?
About 13 million right now.
30 million. So, and you raise already 6 million. So, and this is also mostly for the program 25.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and so I mean, a lot of work's obviously gone. We incorporated the company back in January of 2023. So we have put a good amount of money into the ground, obviously in 2 field seasons now. We've raised some flow through money to help with that. You know, if you're not familiar, over here in Canada, we do have tax incentives for being able to raise money at a higher premium. It gives the shareholder a common share, but it also gives them tax incentives with Canada Revenue Agency here in Canada. And so it's kind of a win-win for companies and for shareholders alike. And so we've been able to garner a decent amount of that type of cash flow to be able to put towards these exploration expenditures.
Mike, thank you for the first introduction to your company. Ja, das war jetzt ein Überblick über Saga. Jetzt gehen wir es nochmal kurz durch. Ganz oben steht natürlich das Lithiumprojekt, das mit Rio Tinto gemacht wird. Rio Tinto hat hier ein Earn-in, das heißt, Rio Tinto muss bei ihrem Projekt was erarbeiten, und zwar 44 Millionen Rio Tinto.
Correct.
Ja, 44 Millionen müssen die investieren, damit sie diese 70-75% bekommen. Also relativ unüblich in dem Stadium, was so eine Company sich befindet. Die müssen eben dort das Geld investieren. Dadurch kommt ein relativ starker Newsflow natürlich von diesem ganzen Projekt raus, was natürlich wundervoll ist. Das Zweite ist natürlich, sie haben dann ein Uranprojekt, und zwar nicht im Athabasca Basin, sondern in Labrador. Dort gibt es auch andere Firmen, die schon sehr erfolgreich nach Uran gesucht haben. Dort sucht man nicht diese 20% plus Uranfelder, sondern niedriggradige Felder, dafür halt höhere Tonnagen. Diese sind auch extrem ökonomisch und haben allerdings, soweit ich weiß, einen Vorteil auch in der Handhabung, weil eben sie nicht so radioaktiv sind. Deswegen ist es für Menschen ungefährlicher, dort zu arbeiten. Also sehr interessant, da passiert heuer relativ viel. Neben dem Projekt quasi auch in Labrador haben sie Vanadium-Titan-Projekt, wobei es eigentlich da um das Magnetite geht. Das heißt, es ist ein magnetisch aufgeladenes Erz. Das heißt, dort haben sie lauter, er hat es beschrieben, ein Feld, wo alles quasi magnetisch ist, das Erz. Das kann man ganz leicht überprüfen mit einem Magnetpen, wo, wenn der an dem Erz halten bleibt, dann weiß man, das ist hochmagnetisch. Und das vierte, was sie noch haben, ist Eisenerz. Ich habe nicht gewusst, dass das seit letztem Jahr bei den kanadischen kritischen Metals angeführt ist. Sie haben dort teilweise hochgradige Zonen gefunden, wurde früher schon mal gebohrt. Und ja, das ist quasi das vierte Projekt, was sie machen, wobei, ich glaube, die Konzentration liegt jetzt auf jeden Fall mal bei Uran und dann beim Titan-Projekt, Titan Vanadiumprojekt, weil das Lithiumprojekt wird von Rio gemacht und deswegen können sie sich auf die anderen Projekte konzentrieren. Aktienstruktur, Marktkapitalisierung rund 30 Millionen, 6 Millionen haben es gerade gemacht und sie haben aber erst, glaube ich, 32 Millionen Aktien oder was draußen. Das ist extrem wenig für dieses Stadium. Ja, das war's von Saga mittels in Vancouver. Heute ist der 21. Jänner 2025. So, und danke, tschüss und Baba. Pfiat euch.
Thank you. Appreciate it.